Robbie, what questions you got for our buddy, this military, this military buddy, entrepreneur, great father, husband, right? What do you got? You got to learn a lot from this guy, man. You're a kid.
Yeah, I know. One that actually came to mind was a curiosity around, you mentioned that you noticed something within the market that prompted you guys to quadruple in size. I guess I'm curious what it was that you specifically noticed within the market that led you or steered you in that direction.
Yeah, so as the world around us was in a major consolidation mode. I mean, most relevant to our business was the automobile business. And if you kind of took a look at from 07 to 15, the automobile dealerships really dramatically shrunk in numbers. And that was primarily driven by the manufacturers who, there were just too many dealers out there. And a lot of them were mom and pop dealers. And it's great to be mom and pop. And this is not a knock on mom and pop because they can do a lot of great things. The unfortunate thing about being a mom and pop is the cost structure of real estate and employees and all that make it very difficult to operate one location. And we saw that in the automobile industry. And that was kind of the genesis of what was happening in the Harley world. And that's what I saw. The need for small locations to, that were mom and pop, so to speak, and they just needed the ability to have a stronger, more financially secure organization to support it. Starved Rock was a perfect example. We bought Starved Rock Harley Davidson in 2015 from a couple that had owned it for about 25 years. And they were a great couple in their mid-60s when they sold it to us. But for about 3 or 4 years, they had really been struggling to survive, to the point where they were leveraging their real estate, kind of pouring money back into the business. And the reason was because, the cost structure had changed so much by that time that in order for them to stay even remotely competitive, they had to spend so much more money doing it than if we were doing it or somebody else was. I mean, we have centralized accounting services. We buy things cheaper, so we can drive down the cost structure of those organizations and actually produce the same product for the same cost to the customer, but have enough margin to make the business worthwhile. And so that was happening in a lot of different places in the marketplace. And so we saw that early and went after it. And that's, I think it was inevitable, and it continues to be inevitable. And now, 3 years ago at our 15 or 16 dealerships, we were, almost alone. And now, there's groups of 10, there's groups of 12, it's growing all over. And, and we're certainly looking to be bigger as well, too. So I think that we saw it and we took advantage of it, and we were in a position to do that. And it really is a necessity because the customer wants a higher level of service and experience, and you got to have a cost structure that can deliver that. And, because otherwise you just can't do it. Right. So
basically, if you think about it, technology and such is giving you the ability to have a centralized cost center, let's say, for a lot of your overhead, that when you spread it out over 15 dealerships, of course, it can be much leaner than one, right? I mean, is that basically it?
Yeah, you can operate, we can operate a dealership at a cost structure that's about 20% less than a one-off person could operate it. Between our ability to leverage our centralized, accounting, marketing, administrative staff, and then, buying a lot of equipment and product cheaper, we can drive that cost structure down so that you can actually make a reasonable profit so that you can reinvest in your business for the customer. And that's what...
Even an example I could see right now, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it feels to me like even with this COVID thing, right? To apply for this PPP thing, right? to apply for that and do all the work it took for us as a company, our group of companies. There's a lot of work for our CFO, our COO, and our accounting firm and the bank to do, right? And one little paving company out there that does what we do, it's tough for them to get that done and on time and get the paperwork right, compared to, you know, us or you able to scale with the best of the best on your finance team, the best of the best, hopefully outside accountant, best of the best banking relationship, right? When you can leverage all those things, unfortunately or fortunately, right, you're able to just get more done at a lower cost and make sure you don't fumble things like this, right?
Well, and that's, you know, that's the other thing too. I mean, you mentioned, I didn't even mention that, but you talk about banking relationships. You know, you think about our ability to borrow money compared to the one-off person's ability to borrow money. You know, in many cases, there's 200 basis points between us. Sometimes 200, 250. I mean, it's a huge piece of a business. You know, when you have a lot of inventory like we do, like any Harley dealer does, I mean, 250 basis points is a lot of money when you think about it, and it makes a big difference.
Yes, big chunk of your profit. Okay,
Yeah,
oh, sorry, go ahead, Robbie.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious to continue down this path a little bit. So when you're thinking towards the future, then, are you guys recognizing any a shift in the buying behavior? I guess I'll use like as an example. They have a fully digital buying experience now. Are you recognizing any of that in the motorcycle space, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that there's two things that you know, first of all, I think COVID-19 pushed forward a lot of what we were thinking about for the next 5 years. And what I mean by that is, you know, we have been thinking about for a long time now, mobile service facilities, right? You know, whether it's a van or a sprinter that actually goes out to people's offices or businesses and does, you know, changes tires, does oil changes, maybe put on some minor accessories, deliveries of motorcycles on a sales basis, that all those things that we've been thinking about, those I think are pushed. We're probably getting off into that, and that's technology and that's equipment and things that you got to have. The other piece of that is, you know, people are buying nationally, and we're going to be able to distribute nationally, and you got to have inventory and capabilities for that. And then how people buy motorcycles, right? Whether it's fractional ownership, you know, your generation doesn't really want to own anything specific right now. And you know, I mean, but it's not, I mean, but that's okay, because that's a little bit of a shift in the mentality, and we've got to be able to address that. So we're seeing those kinds of things and actually addressing some of that in what we're doing. So absolutely, you know, buying online, and you know, people always said in our business, well, you know, you got to have that experience at the Harley Davidson dealership. I think that there's still a lot of truth to that, but I think that if we're thinking about how do we deliver that experience at someone's home if they really want to have it, and also how do we become a service organization that meets the requirements of today's public. For example, COVID-19, you know, now we have customers that call up and say, I want to change my own oil, and I need everything to do that. And now we say, okay, we're going to put all that stuff in a box for you. You're going to give us your credit card. You pull up to the side, and we're just going to hand you the box, and you go off. And if you need help, you just give us a call. And we, yeah. And you know, it's like that was not something that we had developed before. And, you know, it's funny because my wife years ago used to talk about a drive-up service for our parts and accessories. And I used to think she was nuts. I thought she was nuts. And which is what we're moving to, because, you know, and one of the guys in our store said, well, that means they're not going to come in the store and shop around. I said, yeah, this time they're not going to come in the store and shop around. But you've delivered exactly what that customer wanted. They wanted ease, convenience. You know, they got instructions in the packet. They got a name to call if they needed information. I mean, what a beautiful situation for a customer who doesn't really want to be bothered, wants to change their own oil, at least this time, and they want to make it, and we want to make it easy and clean for them. And that's the kind of stuff that I think that we've seen develop in a short period of time that we've been thinking about for a while, but I think COVID-19 has almost forced us to do those things a lot sooner than we probably would have done before. And that's where business is moving anyways, Robbie.
So your store's not open at all right now?
Oh no, they're open. They're open.
Right?
Yeah, they're open, but people have, some people want to come in and walk around, and some people just, like going to the grocery store and getting your food, right? I mean, now you can go to the grocery store, have somebody stick it in the back, and, everyone's sort of reinventing themselves.
What are you doing for like a virtual tour of your store so somebody can come in your store online instead of walk through the store in these conditions?
Yeah, that was Jill's idea. So being able to give somebody a virtual tour of a motorcycle, right? If you send us an email or you go online and you chat with us, we'll send you a virtual tour of a bike. So, give you photos, give you a video, take you around 360, and then ship it to you if you want to get it shipped to you, whether you're local or in California. I mean, it's becoming an entirely different experience. But again, I think it's where we were moving to anyways.
Right.
I mean,
that's awesome.
I think COVID-19 might have accelerated a bit, but I think it's the inevitable. I really do.
Well, if we don't change our businesses when we see things like this happen, if we don't adjust for it, if we say, oh, this is just a thing, it's going to go away and everything will be fine, right? If we don't learn lessons from these experiences, you know what? We're gonna struggle to stay alive in business. I mean, this isn't going to go. In my opinion, it's gonna mellow out, but it'll come back. If this doesn't come back, something like it will come back, right? And the businesses that can be strong through these times will survive, and others won't, right? So, I mean, we got to take these as lessons and say, what can we do to get stronger and better because of it, so that when it happens again, we're in a position to do well through it, right? And businesses that think that way, in my opinion, and again, some of the lessons, as you just said, that you're learning will be used anyway, even if this doesn't happen again, right? Even if it doesn't come back, or we don't shut down America for some other reason. So I love it. I love how you guys think outside the box and continue to work your way around any challenges. And I gotta believe some of that starts with your ability to think fast in the military. In business, you're able to do it just the same, and you've probably got your team members and thinking very much like that. It's pretty cool. Your wife and your team members, your leaders. So,
well,
awesome.
I think what happens, and this is something that I think you get real comfortable with in the military, right? So no plan survives first contact with the enemy. And if you're fluid, you're not fluid enough, because, and Mike Tyson, what did Mike Tyson used to say? You got to plan until you get hit in the face. So it's all that sort of thinking where, you have to remain entirely flexible, and you've got to continually look at the situation and make changes, because it's a constantly changing environment. I mean, COVID-19 is a great example of how fluid things were. We were in the middle of planning for how we were going to manage our business, and Pritzker comes out and he says we're going to be closed until the end of the month. So it's a constantly changing environment. And then we see our business really actually start taking off in a COVID-19 environment. And so we say, okay, gee, if we don't add more people, we're going to lose all sorts of business and piss people off. So we got to continuously be flexible with how we're managing stuff and do things differently. And I think that's, crisis management is all about thinking fast and acting fast and making corrections along the way, because you can't stay with a plan that you started out with when the environment is constantly changing.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Robbie, what else you got for our buddy here?
Yeah, the one area actually earlier in the conversation that we breezed over quickly is backstory on what led you to the motorcycle space and the industry, and why you wanted to start this business in the first place.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I mean, I've been an enthusiast for a long time. So I love Harley Davidson and riding motorcycles, and in kind of like the mid 90s, maybe a little bit earlier, early 90s, Harleys became rather popular, as everyone knows. And you know, the dealers sort of took on, you know, over a period of time, dealers became kind of insensitive to their customer base. They you know, there were 3 or 4 or 5 customers for every vehicle. And there was just this sense of lack of experience, right? You know, you went in and it would be like, you know, put your name on that book and we'll let you know when we have a bike kind of thing. There was no focus on the customer experience. And, you know, this is, you know, maybe back in '99, Jill and I was buying a new bike, kind of that sort of bad experience. And she said, you know, we ought to buy a Harley Davidson dealership because we'll just treat people well and it'll take off like wildfire. And that's literally what happened. I mean, it was all about getting into this business because, I mean, dealers were treating people not very well because the business was so robust that they really didn't have to do a good job taking care of their people or providing customer service or an experience. And that generated our interest in just doing a great job for the customer. And that's how we got in the business. That was really how we got it. We loved motorcycling, but we hated how Harley dealers got to be the way that they were. And we always knew that wasn't going to last. I mean, you knew that there was going to be a time horizon where, you know, the worm was going to turn, and, you know, suddenly we woke up one day and there were more bikes than there were buyers, and it was a different environment. And of course, customer service became that much more important in that environment. So that's how we got in the business, and that's how we've stayed in business.
You saw the potential. You saw the potential. You saw the complacency in the marketplace, right? You're smart enough to understand. I mean, I always say complacency kills all good things. I don't care if it's friendships. I don't care if it's politics or business, right? And you saw the opportunity and you went with it. That's awesome. You know, when you look at American business and entrepreneurship, I mean, you know, I always like to talk about, you know, I couldn't have done what I've done as a hillbilly, non-educated hillbilly in what I've done, right? Anywhere else in the world but America, in my opinion. It's the only place I could have done what I've done, right? And had some success that I've had. What are your thoughts about that, Ozzy? I mean, you've been there to protect our freedoms, my freedoms, right? And most of us don't understand. I'm saying most. I shouldn't say most of us. Some of us don't understand the importance of what you've done in the military to protect these freedoms, and you've also taken advantage of these freedoms back home and built something substantial. Really cool. What do you when you think about that, or if you talk to a young kid today that doesn't understand those things and thinks that the whole world is like this, what do you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I have to tell you, know, that's a great question, Gary, because you know, it's like I think I'll develop tears if I think too long about it. But I have been all over, you know, I've really been all over the world and lived in many, many places. And there is no place like the United States. There is simply no place like the United States. And there is no place that offers the same opportunities to guys like us. I mean, you know, we didn't grow up rich. We're not second, third, fourth generation business guys like a lot of guys in YPO, and that's phenomenal. But we were able to take advantage of the American dream, and you only get that in the United States. You don't appreciate that until you visit someplace else and you realize that you just can't do this anyplace else in the world. And that is, I mean, that's why I'm so patriotic about what we're doing in the United States, because this country is so unique. It's so unique in that regard that you can't even describe it. The differences between the United States and any place else in the world. And you can criticize some of the things that go on, but you know what? We have the damn luxury of doing that. You know, in a lot of places, you can't do that. You don't even have the opportunity to criticize, and we provide that all the time. And so, you know, I truly thank God that I was born in the United States and I live here, because I shudder to think, what my life would be like if I were born anyplace else, because this country delivers to people what no other country can deliver to people, and that's opportunity and the freedom to choose to do what you want to do. It's there for you. So
yeah, I love it. And again, you've been part of protecting this whole free enterprise system, and so many have died and been been maimed, and in war to fight for our freedom and this beautiful free country we have. And I really appreciate you, buddy, and those like you. I know that nowadays I think you're appreciated. But you're not always. I mean, I look at times in my life where friends of mine, people that I know, didn't really care for military. Just kind of like you hear, they don't care for police sometimes, right? But I think there's appreciation for what you've done. That's amazing for most people. So again, thanks for everything you've done for us, bud. And then as far as this free enterprise dream of yours, and that you and Jill are executing on. How long are you gonna grow this thing? What are you gonna grow it to? Any aspirations of where you want to go, or no?
I think it as opportunity presents itself, we're gonna chase it. I can't envision myself being retired. So I for as long as and I got 2 kids that are 2.5 years old. So I mean, I got to put them through school, for God's sakes.
That's right. That's right.
No, I can't see past 10 years, but I think that there's a lot to do in the next 10 years, and I think that there will be tremendous opportunity for us to continue to build our business over the next 10-year period of time. And I think I'm going to continue to be a part of that, and for a long time to come. And at some point there will be an exit, but I'm excited about the next 10 years. I really am.
Well, and when you look around at your friends, as I do, that are much older than us, right? I've got friends that are in their 80s and actually early 90s that every day are still doing deals like they were when they're our age and much younger, right? And those people I'm talking about that I think about have energy like a 30, 40-year-old person still today at 85, 90 years old. I want to be like that. I mean, that's what I don't want to look at in my life and say, man, I need to retire and I need to kick back and take it easy. That's not so much fun to me. I mean, I don't know. I think that we can have a great life by working hard even in our 90s if we want to. And if that's not who you are, that's okay, of course. But man, it's so much fun to make a difference in it. And if we can build jobs and create opportunity for others, nothing better than that, right?
I agree with you. It's the guy that we bought the Woodstock store from was almost 80 years old, and if you'd have met this guy, I mean, he was still busting. Arnie?
Well, yeah, I know Arnie. He's awesome.
The guy's 80 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's full of energy. I mean, I love the guy. We became very good friends over the course of time and negotiating the deal. I mean, and that, that's the guy that I look at and I go, that's me at 80 years old. I want to be working because at some point this becomes what you do and who you are. It's not like work. This is not work for me. This is sort of who I am and what I do. And so, because I don't think I've really worked ever in a long time, 20 years, 25 years. I'm just like, I think about this and I think about when I think of work, it's different than what I do. And this is, yeah, I mean, I really love this. And it's part of who I am.
There's a guy, if you follow him ever, I get to know and joined his association, about 10 years ago, Bernie Marcus, the founder of Home Depot. And he's now 90 or 91, something like that, now 92 maybe. It's amazing. You'll see him, he's on TV still, right? Commenting on different things in the political environment and business and all that. But he started a thing called Job Creators Network. I was one of the first CEOs as a member and on the board of that, right? I still am. And Bernie is just awesome. I mean, I'm telling you, he still thinks 20, 30 years ahead in any conversations he's talking about, right? I mean, that's what I want to be. I want to be, and he's so philanthropic. He doesn't care if he makes another buck. He wants to make sure he gives away his money to the right causes that are sustainable for America and the things things he believes in philanthropically. But again, when you see the energy in this guy, it's so much fun to golf with him, to be around him. And I mean, I look at it and I said, if I can live that long, that's how I want to be, right? It's fun. So yeah, I really appreciate the stuff you're doing, and I'm gonna be checking on that Harley store here pretty quick. I want to see the virtual stuff. I'm gonna be looking at some bikes later this afternoon now, and all that. So keep up the good work, man. And anybody from this area, you gotta buy a Harley from Ozzy and experience what Jill and Ozzy and the team have built. It's just an awesome experience. So, well, any Robbie, you want to go over any nuggets that you've learned here, or we can later?
You better believe it. Oh yeah, I got them written down.
Let's hear it, buddy.
Yeah. So Ozzy, we like to summarize key points or takeaways from the conversation today, encompassing early years all the way through college, military, to your professional life. So the first one that I came up with was keeping it ultra simple. So just through parenting or your earners, you were taught hard work and to focus on education and continuous learning. And the way I apply that is similar to the growth mindset, is what a hot button or topic commonly discussed today. And it's not something that you teach. So if you can learn that at a young age, it's incredibly advantageous for the long run. Second is lead from the front. And that was part of your military days. And the idea behind that is obviously just build for either your employees or those in the military alongside you, but allowing them to ultimately themselves get the job done. The third here is put your team first. And at the end of the day, people are your biggest asset. And as long as ultimately they feel like they have a sense of security and loyalty from you and the rest of the leadership team, they're going to turn around the best work for you. And develop a network to defeat a network. And I think that that's important to me in the sense of how that actually functioned within the government. So you're pulling together so many different entities within the government to ultimately fulfill a common vision. And I think that same application actually coincides with business as well, that you need every department to be working together in unison in order for the business to achieve success. So I saw a lot of strong overlap there. Fifth is to empower your employees to work with autonomy. And a way that we were taught this specifically through my past experience at LinkedIn is one of our cultural tenets was act like an owner. And it was the idea that truly you needed to live and breathe the culture and values all the way to the point where you felt like you were an owner of the business. And if so, you would make decisions that were rooted in the business's long-term success. Last one, kind of going off of where we were just finishing the conversation, is focusing on listening to the market by continuously iterating and improving and remaining flexible. Any of the new market trends that are coming up, whether that's the virus or could be the changing in the digital demographic or finding the buying experience to be today. But you need to make sure that you listen to your end consumers.
Awesome, Robbie, way to go!
Those are great.
No, you're the one.
By the way, I will tell you this because this is really, I want to really give you kind of kudos on this. I mean, you're developing a network to defeat a network, and an analogy to departments in an organization. That's really brilliant because I see this in a lot of large organizations, and Harley-Davidson actually has been a little bit like this. These departments develop in silos, and they don't communicate, and you don't get the best of the entire organization, and that's a big issue. So getting people to work together on a cross-departmental basis is the same thing as building a network to defeat a network. That was really brilliant, actually. I have to tell you. So that's a great observation. It really is.
And Ozzy, I when you said that earlier, I picked up on my side of it, different than Robbie, but similar. But Robbie and I have to deal with 10 different businesses that we have. I have different partners, different leaders, and all that. Robbie sells across all platforms, all businesses, and it's tough sometimes to get them to work together. but exactly what you said is perfect for that analogy as well. All these businesses work for the same customers, same type of customers, right? And very often we don't cross-sell, we don't cross-collateralize our strengths, and we're trying to do it better and better all the time. So, Robbie, I want you to use that as you talk to our team on the subject. Now, I don't want to use it because, it'll just be another thing for me. I want you to really think about that, focus on departments as well as business leadership and businesses. So that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, and particularly in your business, I mean, with managing those multiple businesses, Gary, this is key. I mean, this really, and I live this. In 2001, you had, like, for example, military intelligence agencies that had information, the Central Intelligence Agency that had information, other intelligence agencies within the federal government, and they didn't share information. They weren't even able to communicate.
Crazy.
Think about that. We have the strongest government in the world, the best military minds in the world, and they really didn't communicate. And that was why this brilliance from McChrystal about building a network and getting integrated, getting the military essentially integrated with these agencies and an interagency relationship. Once we started to actually share information, cooperate with each other, and communicate, think about how valuable it is for all of your 10 businesses together.
Yeah.
I mean, you really get those people working together.
And we in our Darren, hold on a second, I get rid of this call. Hold on one second. Okay, so and I look at it this way too, Ozzy. When I was small in business, I still had great partners and friends out there like you and I have had, right, that are out for our best interest. And where you can't find the expertise or the strength within your own organization, use your network, right? Use your network and friends and your vendors or wherever you can find the intelligence, right? And even when it's small business can use people outside their own business as the network of strength to defeat the enemy. The enemy being the competitor, right?
Right.
You can think of it in so many ways that, and again, the military, perfect example that I think we can carry into business. So that's cool. Good job picking that one up, Robbie.
Yeah, Robbie.
It was all your words here, Ozzy. I'm just reiterating.
Yeah, mine was a stream of consciousness. Yours was a good thought.
Robbie, Ozzy usually hits our golf outing, our foundation golf outing every year with our buddy Paul Darlie, and you got to get out there and hang with them when we do that this year, because you'll get a lot out of that. Having this guy and Paul Darlie in the same foursome is invaluable to a young guy like you.
Yeah, I got plenty to learn.
Yeah, Paul's a great guy. I mean, we've been friends for a long time. We were in a forum together, and then he left. We're now in two separate forums. But
I got him now, dude. He's in my
I know.
So he's one of my best friends also, and one of your best friends. So we got that in common, and just you're blessed if you can be if you can have the love of that guy, right?
Yeah, so. Paul's. I sit on his board, and he's a hardworking guy. He likes to play, but he's a hardworking, very very good-hearted person.
Yes, and Robbie, you got to go back and listen to that podcast with Paul Darlie if you haven't heard it, or read his book Sold. I got a couple extra copies in my office there and my office at home. So
yeah, I'm reading right now anyway, so that's perfect.
We got to read Sold. That's great for you and what you do and for us, and what you're going to do for the future. So hey, we don't want to spend too much of your time. You're awesomely generous to do this for us. And we really appreciate it, bud, to be, the champ you are in life, for us to be able to have you on and be able to inspire people across the globe, because this thing is going to grow and grow. Our podcast is growing pretty fast. And for you to have a person like you to inspire others to be more than they think they could be otherwise is the whole reason for this. So we appreciate you, Ozzy. It's an awesome story, and I love you, man, as a friend and somebody I look up to. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, Gary. I love you too, brother. I appreciate it. Your kind words, and like I said in the beginning, you're a really giving person, and I'm blessed to know you.
It's nice of you to say that. Thanks a lot, brother. And we're praying for big sister. You know, even though she looks like she's your younger sister, dude, she's a beautiful woman. I met her, Marco. She's an amazing woman, and I want to talk to her pretty soon too about some things. So I'm gonna be giving her a call. But we're praying for her. We're praying for her, for Patty, and stuff. So God bless you guys.
Same to you guys. Thanks, guys.
And that's it for another episode of Ditch Digger CEO. See ya.